And we are live for opening night. It feels like Christmas morning. We got football, real football, on our TV screens in just a couple of hours. I cannot wait. We got a great one tonight between the back to back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, who arguably were as close to anyone to making the Super Bowl last year, if not the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a really fun one. We're going to talk about every single angle of this game tonight. We're going to talk through a bunch of start-sit decisions for this week. We got a game tomorrow night as well between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. I will try to get to some start-sit decisions from that game. Going to be very focused on these two games because, as you guys know, if you've been here long enough, I'll also be live Sunday morning, basically from the time I wake up until kickoff. We'll get to thousands of start day questions Sunday morning. Gonna prioritize the Thursday night questions tonight. We got a question here. Should I be starting Xavier Worthy or DK Metcalf? Look, I think in general, you got to be trusting Xavier Worthy tonight. I do think DK Metcalf's going to project better. You probably should start DK Metcalf in that specific situation. We can actually do this comparison live on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, guys. If you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. Seriously, does help me out a ton. If you're watching live on TikTok, I promise the YouTube live just a little bit better of a viewing experience because I can share my screen where I can't share my screen on the TikTok live. So we're about to actually compare Tank and Zay Flowers. I think that one's pretty easy. That's a Tank Dell over Zay Flowers there. We're going to compare Xavier Worthy to DK Metcalf. I think it's probably going to be a DK Metcalf over Xavier Worthy decision there. I do think the two guys that aren't locked in tonight but are decent starts, Zay Flowers and Xavier Worthy. I think both are decent starts. The thing with the Baltimore Ravens in this game, they're 3-point underdogs in this game. We got game betting in the Walter Picks app this season. Pumped for that. Got that up on the screen right now. The Chiefs, according to our projections, about a 56% chance to win this game tonight. They're 3-point favorites. I do think the Chiefs win this game. You know, if I'm taking the side here, I'm taking the Chiefs. I typically stay away from spreads. I like the money lines because it keeps me aligned with the team's incentives. Can't stand taking spreads just for the team to kneel it out when I need them to get one more point. Situations like that are tilting. But it's going to be tough for the Ravens to do what they want to do in just philosophically this season in this game if they're behind against the Chiefs. And I do expect them to be behind against the Chiefs. The Baltimore Ravens want to run the ball. That's going to be an exciting thing to see this season now that they have Derrick Henry in town. It's also going to be an interesting thing to see this season, though, with the Baltimore Ravens specifically. Guys, their offensive line got much worse this offseason. This is not the Baltimore Ravens offensive line from last season. This is maybe a bottom 10 offensive line in the NFL. This is part of the reason I'm definitely on the Chiefs tonight. I think the Chiefs defensive line could make this a long night for Lamar Jackson. And I'm very curious to see how the rushing attack holds up despite the lackluster offensive line. They added, I would argue, the greatest the greatest rushing running back of all time. I've been arguing this for years. I think at least 3 years at this point, I've been arguing that Lamar Jackson, he's the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. And that Derrick Henry is the greatest rusher of all time. These guys are sharing a backfield now behind, I think, a lackluster offensive line. Will be really interesting to see how that goes. I still sort of think those things will negate out for Derrick Henry. He gets the boost, the rushing boost in efficiency being next to Lamar Jackson, but then he's playing behind what I, again, expect to be kind of a lackluster offensive line. I think on passing plays, though, we're really going to see the Chiefs defensive line show up tonight. All right, come to the YouTube live, watching live on TikTok. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio if you want to see me do some start-sit comparisons here and get to some of these comments of some of these start-sit decisions. Guys, like I said, I'm going to be live Sunday morning from the time I wake up to the time kickoff happens. It's going to be a 3-hour live stream at least. I'm going to get to thousands of start-sit questions on that live. So I'm going to prioritize the Thursday night start-sits tonight. And I do think you want to start Xavier Worthy if you can. Let's see this Metcalf one. Wow, Walter's actually going to agree with me here or disagree with my initial take here. You should be starting Xavier Worthy over DK Metcalf. I like it. I like it. Look, Xavier Worthy, the thing you got to understand about Xavier Worthy is he's basically Deshaun Jackson. Like he is not just a speed guy. He has insane speed. He broke the 40-yard dash record, but he also had very, very elite production in college at a young age. There's also no Marquise Brown tonight. So Xavier Worthy's an even bigger role. It goes Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Pacheco. These guys are going to get over 80% of the work tonight in this offense. Then it goes to basically nobody. Then you got Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman. I mean, these guys might get 0 catches in this game. With Marquise Brown out, trust Xavier Worthy tonight. We got him ranked wide receiver 26 in the Walter Picks app. He has a massive ceiling. DK Metcalf projected to have a little bit higher of a ceiling, 11% chance to go over 25. Bit of a better floor, though, given the offense for the Chiefs in the offensive environment, game environment Xavier Worthy's going to be in tonight. Worthy over 3.5 receptions, I like it. Worthy over 44.5 receiving yards, I like it. But I do got a free prop for us tonight on the live. I will give a free prop every single live stream throughout the whole season. I've been over 58% on these free props on these lives for 4 straight years. And we're going to make it year 5. We're going to make this year 5 with the free props. I got 2 actually tonight. Worthy over Flowers. Yeah, let's do this comparison. It's a good one to think through. So yeah, I would go Worthy over Metcalf. I think it's going to be Worthy over Flowers too. Man, this one's close. Really close. I think Worthy over Flowers is fine. If this game goes how the Ravens want it to go, they're not going to throw it that much. And that's definitely a little bit scary for Flowers. I think I'm fine going Xavier Worthy over Flowers in this one. The Chiefs secondary too is definitely not one to mess with. Second best defense against receivers last season, returning most of their pieces. Ravens secondary was really good last year too. 5th best against receivers. Rashee Rice or Cooper Kupp. Yeah, I think I'm going Cooper Kupp there. I think I'd go Steph Diggs probably over Worthy as well. We got Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 6 in the Walter Picks app. Definitely not benching him. I'm definitely playing Rashee Rice over Xavier Worthy. By the way, you can't bench Rashee Rice. Guys, do not bench Rashee Rice. There's basically no receivers that you're going to ask me about, Rice or X. It's always going to be Rice. Start Rice. Marvin Harrison Jr. Worthy. Yeah, it's got to be Marvin Harrison Jr. there. Yeah, we got Diggs a little bit ahead of Worthy. Here's the guys I'd play. Here's the guys we have in the Walter Picks app that you should play over Xavier Worthy. DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Nico Collins, Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr. All the other guys are obvious. That's the only guys that we have to play over Xavier Worthy. Tank Dell, I think I might play Tank Dell over Xavier Worthy. Deebo Samuel, I think I might play him over Xavier Worthy too. Close ones. But again, I want Xavier Worthy in the lineup tonight. Yeah, so we got props, Dante. We got props. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. Wherever you're watching, shout out to you guys. This is one of my favorite things to do all season long. Thursday night live, Sunday morning lives. I'm blessed to consider this a part of my full-time job. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Seriously, appreciate you all so much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube. Hit the like button and follow button if you're watching live on TikTok. We got 2 free props for you tonight. 2 free props. This is the first 2 of the season. We are 0 for 0 this season, starting fresh. We're over 58% on these free props for 4 straight years. We're going to start 2 for 2 tonight. We got Isaiah Likely over 16.5 receiving yards. You actually can find this one out there at 15.5, but most places have it 16.5. Talk about that one in a second. I'll let you pull it up in the prop evaluator for the people watching on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, I promise, one, your comments more likely to get answered. I will answer comments from both, but your comments more likely to get answered if you're watching live on YouTube, but also I can share screen on YouTube. It's a better viewing experience. And look at this prop for Isaiah Likely. He's hit this in 8 of his last 10 games, over 15.5 receiving yards. Again, I'm taking it at 16.5 too. 15.5 is definitely a little bit better. He did have 16 yards exactly against the Chiefs in the playoffs in a game where Mark Andrews was playing. Some of these games Mark Andrews wasn't playing. But Isaiah Likely is, I think, going to be the number 3 receiver on this offense. It's going to go Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely this season. I think he's really the 3rd best receiving option they have over Rashad Bateman. But that leads me to my next prop tonight, free player prop tonight, which is Nelson Agholor under 1.5 receptions. Getting plus odds on this one. Last year, week 1, Nelson Agholor tosses up a donut, something he did multiple times last season, 0 catches in multiple games. I think 3 or 4 games last year. Nelson Agholor had 0 catches. He had 1 or fewer catches in 9 games last season. He's not better than Rashad Bateman. He's definitely not better than Zay Flowers. I don't think he's better than Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely. And this team wants to run the ball with both Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and he might not even be a better receiving option than Justice Hill, who's going to be the receiving back on this team. I think there's a decent chance we see Nelson Agholor get 0 catches in this game, especially if the game script doesn't go as projected. So yeah, the 2 free props tonight. We got Isaiah Likely over 16.5 receiving yards, Nelson Agholor under 1.5 receptions. Like both of these a lot. They've already talked about all offseason how Isaiah Likely is going to be more involved in this offense. And guys, if you're looking for more prop advice and more props that you want to take this week and actually even in this game, you got to check out the Walter Picks app. It is a free app to download to get all the prop insights. You're going to want to sign up for one of the premium subscriptions. It is well worth the price. It could literally pay for itself in this first game. Check that out on the Picks tab in the Walter Picks app. Use code SAM when you sign up if you haven't. Would you start the Chiefs defense? No. Want nothing to do with either defense tonight. If I'm going to choose a defense, though, I think it's the Chiefs. Because, again, I think this Ravens offensive line got a lot worse this offseason. They lost a couple key pieces of that offensive line. The Chiefs defensive line is just as good. Top 5 defensive line in the NFL against what I think is a bottom 10, at best a bottom 15 offensive line. I do think Lamar and Derrick Henry are going to be able to mask that a little bit. But on passing plays, I think this is ultimately where the Chiefs are going to end up winning this game is the defensive line on Baltimore Ravens passing plays is going to be an issue. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though, for Isaiah Likely specifically. He's going to run a lot of the shorter intermediate routes. Again, I'd like him over 16.5 receiving yards. Obviously not going to start him in fantasy. All right, you're starting Rashee Rice over Ayuk. You're starting, oh, God, this is a tough one. Yeah, so I'm going to go Cooper Kupp over Rice. I think you got to go Evans over. I think you got to go Rice over Evans. Let's go back to the start-sit tool here. Get back to some of these Thursday night start-sits. I didn't expect this many difficult start-sits. Generally speaking, I think week 1 is the easiest week of the year for start-sit decisions. It's the easiest week of the year for start-sit decisions. Generally speaking, start the guy you drafted early. And that's not going to apply to all scenarios. Like, it's not going to apply to Xavier Worthy, I think, in a lot of cases. But generally speaking, like, why'd you draft that guy earlier if you weren't going to start? I think that's like a general good rule of thumb for week 1 specifically. Yeah, you're starting Rice over Evans. We actually had them back-to-back here in the rankings the Walter Picks app. Yeah, I'm not benching Rice, guys. Here's the only players I'm benching for Rashee Rice. If I have Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm starting him over Rice. Malik Neighbors, starting him over Rice. Drake London, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, these guys that you obviously aren't benching first and second round picks, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. Then it's Rice, guys. This is why Rice has been an absolute smash steal in all fantasy drafts. We had Rice ranked as wide receiver 15 or 16 in the draft tool. He was going out to the top 70 picks on Yahoo and ESPN. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, Evan, smash this, man. Smash this. They're 3-point underdogs. Likely is their 3rd best receiver. And he's hit this in 8 of his last 10 games. Really like this a lot. Really like this stuff. What do you got for Rice points? Yeah, so we got, let me pull this up. We got Rice, I think, projected right around 15, 15.6 PPR points. I think it's a pretty solid projection. Now, he's going to need a touchdown, ultimately to get there. I think we got him a pretty good odds for a touchdown tonight. But he could get here too, 7 catches, 70 yards. He's right there. He's basically right there. Rice is coming off a season, guys, where in the back half of last season, he was a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football. He didn't have games under 10 points. He had back-to-back games at the back end of last season over 11 fantasy points. 6 straight games over 11 PPR points. Extremely consistent. No Marquise Brown tonight. Then he starts off the playoffs. Guys, Rashee Rice set an NFL record for the number of receptions he had last season as a rookie in the NFL playoffs. Those records are like a little misleading because you just got to make it to the Super Bowl to break those types of records. And they obviously did that. Plus, they didn't have a bye last season, so they played 4 playoff games. Some of that stuff's factored in. But still, I mean, he didn't go under 8 PPR points in the NFL playoffs either. So yeah, start Rice and Worthy. I like both a lot tonight. But I'm not benching Devon Achane. Like this one, you got to start Achane. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. If you're watching live on TikTok, shout out to you. If you want a little bit better of a live stream viewing experience, you're going to want to come to the YouTube live. Link to that's right in the TikTok bio. I can pull up comments on screen. I can share my screen like we're looking at Rashee Rice's game logs on the YouTube live right now. Deontay or Worthy? Yeah, it's Worthy easily. Deontay's like he's a safe floor play. The Deontay, let's compare these two guys on the YouTube live here. Deontay and Rice, because like a lot of the start-sit questions, you'll see me answer similarly to how I'm about to answer this one throughout the season. It's similar to how I think about things a little bit differently in draft season too. Like what are you optimizing for here? Are you the type of person that just wants to try to lock in 10 points? Like if you're just trying to lock in 10 points, play it safe, you're probably going to want to play Deontay Johnson. We actually still have a slightly higher bust percentage for Deontay than Worthy, which is interesting. But like in my mind, the guy that's more likely to get 10 points, probably Deontay. But he's extremely unlikely to go over 25 points. Xavier Worthy has that ceiling, like an actual chance to do it. Xavier Worthy could go 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 TDs tonight, and I wouldn't be that surprising. I think we're about to see a Deshaun Jackson-like rookie season from Xavier Worthy, who is not just a speed guy, but also he can produce. He is not just a one type of route type of receiver. McLaurin or Xavier Worthy? Yeah, I think McLaurin was one of the few guys I'm starting over Xavier Worthy. He gets the Bucs bad secondary from last season, just so far and away the number one receiver for his own team. I do think I'd go McLaurin over Worthy. Is Mark Andrews a good start? Yeah, the no discussion needed players tonight, there's a bunch of them. Probably one of the most amount of no discussion needed Thursday night players of the season. Mahomes, Lamar, no discussion needed tonight. Start them. Kelsey, Andrews, no discussion needed. Obviously start them. Pacheco, Derrick Henry, no discussion needed for those guys either. Start them. I don't think there's any discussion needed for Rashee Rice, even though we just walked through that. You know, some people might need a little bit of a push because he was going too late in drafts, but he was going too late in drafts. Chiefs and under is probably the way I'd play it, but I typically just stay far away from the over-unders because the markets are so sharp, and I stay far away from spreads too. I typically will only going to sprinkle on the money lines if I'm taking anything, and yeah, I like the Chiefs tonight. I do. I think that they should be favored by a little bit more in this game because of the Baltimore Ravens offensive line and because of the weapons that the Chiefs added this offseason. No Marquise Brown tonight, but Xavier Worthy is a massive addition to this team. And definitely a guy I want to start, and I am starting in multiple of my high-stakes leagues. I got him in I think, 3 of my 7 high-stakes fantasy leagues. He's starting in 2 of them. Rice or Olave? It's Rice. I think it's Rice over Olave. Let's go back to the rankings here. Yeah, it's Rice over Olave by just a tiny bit. Again, just a way more exciting offense. A similar floor. Panthers secondary was actually like the Panthers were a run funnel defense last season, much better than secondary than against the rushing. Rashee Rice from Malik Neighbors. Yeah, we're starting Neighbors over Rice. We're starting Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. over Rice. I'm starting Rashee over Ridley. Michael Pittman or Zay Flowers. I think that one's Pittman. Yeah, it's Pittman over Flowers. Here's some of the guys I'd start Flowers over. I'd start him over Keenan Allen. I'd start him over Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Jaden Reed. I'd start him over all those guys. I think I would start Tank over Zay Flowers personally. Zay's probably a tiny bit safer. Yeah, Tank's got a higher ceiling. Bit worse of a floor for Tank. Debo, Worthy, or Odunze. Yeah, it's Debo and Worthy, I think, over Odunze. I would start Worthy over Odunze this week. Godwin or Neighbors. Not a Thursday night question. I'm trying to prioritize the Thursday night, Friday night questions. Flowers, Devontae Smith. We got a Thursday versus Friday here. Let's do this comparison. I think this one's going to be Devontae Smith. Yeah, it's actually not that close. It's Devontae Smith here in PPR. By the way, let me know the scoring settings. This is part of the reason, guys, you got to download the Walter Picks app yourself and use it yourself because, well, first of all, it's a free app. Like, you're actively at a disadvantage in your fantasy football leagues. You're actively going to lose more when you're betting without the Walter Picks app. And again, it's a free app, and there's premium features that are well worth it too. Like, you can sync all of your leagues for personalized insights. This is part of the reason the app is so powerful because, like, so many of the start sit questions I get, is it PPR or half PPR? It actually will change a lot of things. Like in half PPR, Xavier Worthy's an even better start because I don't think he's going to get that many receptions. His over under 3.5 tonight. I like the over there, but how much more than 3.5 catches is he really going to have? Probably not too many more. You know, he doesn't have the same reception ceiling as Rashee Rice. But if you download the Walter Picks app, you can enter your own scoring settings and you know, see for yourself how that impacts things because the scoring settings matter a ton. Smash the like button. Ryan, appreciate that, guys. Smash the like button. It is week 1, man. The time is finally here. I am so pumped. You're definitely going to start Ja'Marr Chase. Vincent, this is an interesting one. Obviously, given the case going on with Ja'Marr Chase, it's starting to seem more and more like Ja'Marr Chase is going to play week 1 with or without a contract. And yeah, you got to start Ja'Marr Chase. There's no benching Ja'Marr Chase in week 1. And this is a tough, you know, one of the tougher maybe sit spots for a Thursday night. If you have Ja'Marr Chase, you got Rashee Rice. Like, that's actually pretty close, but I still think you got to hold out for Chase, and you hopefully can start both those guys. You probably should start both of them. Ridley projected higher than Rice. What do I do? No, Rice should start over Ridley. And you're looking at bad projections if Ridley's projected over Rice, unless it's coming from the Walter Picks app, which maybe in a non-PPR league, like maybe that's possible. But yeah, it's got to be Rice. It's got to be Rice over Ridley for sure. For sure. Don't trust the projections that you're seeing on ESPN or Yahoo. This is one of the whole reasons I started Walter Picks in the first place, because I was sick and tired of the horrible projections that were on the platforms that I was playing on. And that's why you got to download the app. It's going to help you. Let's go to half PPR. I wonder if this is a lot different on half PPR. Yeah, still Rice and half PPR over Ridley, and then in non-PPR, it's probably going to be a little bit closer. Yeah, still Rice. All scoring settings are Rice over Ridley. It gets a little closer in the non-PPR and half PPR. Again, this is why the scoring settings matter and why the Walter Picks app is so powerful. Rasheed or Evans? Yeah, it's Rasheed over Evans. Again, here's the only receivers I'm starting over Rasheed Rice. Nico Collins, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Now. Mike Evans is in here. Let's actually do this comparison. Oh, they're playing the Commanders. I forgot that the Bucs are playing the Commanders this week. Oh, this is non-PPR, though. Let me switch this back to PPR. Again, this is why the scoring settings matter so much. Mike Evans definitely gets a bump. Yeah, in PPR, it's Rice by a little bit. Here you go. This is, again, the scoring settings debate. Let me know what the scoring settings are here. It matters a lot. I'm going to assume, if you don't tell me the scoring settings, point per reception, half point per reception, non-point per reception, like no points per reception, I'm going to assume it's point per reception, because all my leagues are point per reception, because that's the best scoring mode, just hands down. So yeah, if it's point per reception, I'm going Rice over Evans. If it's not, I'm going Evans over Rice. I'm going Evans over Rice. Huge difference here. Much higher ceiling here for Mike Evans, but man, the floor is just locked and loaded for Rice tonight. He's going to lead the team in targets, almost definitely. It's going to be him or Kelsey. Zay Flowers or Aaron Jones, week 1. Yeah, I think I'd lean Zay Flowers there. Jameson Williams or Romeo Dobbs, PPR. Not a Thursday night question, not a Friday night. Oh, it is a Friday night question. I'll give you that. Well, I think I'd probably go. That's actually a really close one. Dobbs versus Jameson Williams. I bet they are projected pretty close together here. Again, it didn't give me scoring settings, so I'm going to assume it's PPR, and yeah, it's JMO. It's JMO, Jameson Williams over Romeo Dobbs. Evans or Kupp. Don't bench Cooper Kupp, guys. Do not bench Cooper Kupp in week 1. Absolutely not. What's up, Sam? Missed you, man. I'm pumped to be back. We got a fantastic opening night game between the Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to get to hundreds more of start-sit questions over the next 40 minutes before this game. Going to be prioritizing the Thursday night start-sits and the Friday night start-sits, because I won't be live before the game tomorrow night, but we got a game tomorrow night too. From Brazil, we got the Packers and the Eagles. That's going to be a fun one too, guys. If you haven't yet and you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. If you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like and subscribe button. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, I'm telling you, I get to comments from both. I get to hundreds of comments every single live stream. I'll be live every Thursday night, every Sunday morning, but I promise you that the viewing experience is better on YouTube. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio. And also, again, if you haven't checked out the Walter Picks app, it's shown on screen on the YouTube live right now, but you got to download the app. Link is in the TikTok bio and the YouTube description. You are at a disadvantage in your fantasy leagues and in betting if you don't have the app. All right, PPR, Reader, Deontay. All right, we're going to do this one quick. I think this one's also pretty close. It's Deontay by a smidge, but I gotta believe, yeah, you gotta believe Jayden Reed's ceiling is a bit higher here. So again, you got to ask yourself, do you want to lock in the 10 points? Because there's probably no better lock in the 10 points than Deontay Johnson, if we're being honest. If we think back to the beginning of last season and what that Panthers offense looked like, and somehow Adam Thielen was still producing in PPR leagues. Deontay Johnson is better than Adam Thielen. And I also believe strongly that the Panthers will be better than they were last season, and Bryce Young will look better. But Jayden Reed in that game environment against the Eagles, man, the ceiling's high. So do you want to play it safe or do you want to go for the win? Do you want to not lose or do you want to go for the win? Usually the way I attack my life and attack fantasies, I go for the win. That's why I have Xavier Worthy on my teams. That's why I'm starting Xavier Worthy tonight over DK Metcalf. Yep. Even though he's a go for a win too. Kyle Sam, we are so back. Happy to see you. You as well. Ryan, we got 2 prop plays tonight. I'm about to dish them out right now. I dished them out earlier. We're going to dish them out again, because I like both of them a lot, honestly. There's tons of prop analysis already in the Walter Picks app. Tons to look at here. But this is the best prop for me of the night for the free props. Let me pull this up on the YouTube live. Guys, we've been over 58% 4 straight years on these free player props on these live streams. I work 4 straight years every Thursday night, every Sunday morning. Shout out to those that are here for multiple years now. But we're going over 58% again, and we're starting out with 2 on this opening Thursday night. First of all, it's Isaiah Likely over 16.5 yards, the official play for me, but you can find this at 14.5. Right now, you can find this at 14.5 on FanDuel, which is a smash. Like, go to FanDuel if you have FanDuel. Otherwise, you're going to find this at 16.5 everywhere else. This is why the line shopping tool in the Walter Picks app is just so powerful. You need the Walter Picks app if you're serious about trying to win. Isaiah Likely's hit this in 8 of his last 10 games. Now, this is a little misleading because Mark Andrews was out for a lot of these games, but if we're being honest, Isaiah Likely's the third best receiver on this team. It's not Rashad Bateman. It's Isaiah Likely. And even if it is Rashad Bateman, Isaiah Likely can beat this in a single catch. I absolutely love the overs that can be beat in a single catch because it's never out of reach. Not only could it be hitting on the first play, but it could also hit on the last play. It's never out of reach with these types of overs. I would not be shocked if Isaiah Likely is number 2 on the Ravens in receiving tonight, or number 3 behind Andrews and behind Zay Flowers. The Ravens are also underdogs in this game. I expect them to have to throw. I also expect their offensive line to struggle a little bit. This is a worse offensive line than the Ravens had last season. I think that benefits Isaiah Likely with the types of routes he's going to be running and the role he's going to be playing in this offense from the passing game perspective. So I like Isaiah Likely a lot over 14.5 over on FanDuel, but the official play for me is over 16.5. Like it at that line as well. And then number 2, Nelson Agholor, under 1.5 receptions. He had 3 different games last year where he tossed up donuts, zeros. One of those was week 1 last year where he played almost half the snaps, 0 receptions in that game. He had under 1.5 receptions in 9 different games last season. I think if you go down the list for the Baltimore Ravens, we actually have depth charts in the Walter Picks app now for every single team. You go down the list, and he's definitely behind Zay Flowers. He's definitely behind Rashad Bateman. He's probably ahead of these other wide receivers, but I think he's behind both Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And he might be behind Justice Hill, too, who's a decent receiving back. He might be the 6th best receiving option in this offense. I think there's a better chance that Nelson Agholor has 0 catches tonight than that he has 2. And that's the exact type of unders I'm looking for. Nelson Agholor is the prototypical wind sprint type of receiver, where even if he's out there for a third or even half the snaps, which I don't expect, because the Baltimore Ravens run some of the fewest 3 wide receiver personnel in the NFL, and he's the third receiver. But even if he's out there for a third of the snaps or half the snaps, like he could just be running wind sprints and not get a single catch. So those are the 2 official plays. Isaiah Likely over 16.5 receiving yards. Nelson Agholor under 1.5 receptions. All right, let's get back to some of these start-sit decisions because we are so back. Thursday night football, Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. Gonna be a fun one. We got the back-to-back Super Bowl champions who are trying to go back-to-back-to-back. Absolutely insane if they were able to do that. And they absolutely are going to have a good chance at it if they can stay healthy this season. Let's go back to the start-sit tool here. Get some of these start-sits. Rice, Deontay, or Chris Godwin the flex. Yeah, it's Rice. It's Rice. He's in the no discussion category tonight, especially in PPR formats, which thanks for giving me the scoring settings. Let me know the scoring settings in these start-sit questions because they matter. That's part of the reason you also got to download the Walter Picks app, especially if you're in multiple leagues that have different scoring settings. The app will sync to your league and give you personalized insights based on your league. So you definitely got to try it out. Link to that is in the TikTok bio. Link to that is in the YouTube description. All right, Chris Godwin is the number 1 way you can help me out too is using code SAM if you sign up for the first time. All right, we got Deontay Johnson. So Deontay Johnson, he's like the number 1, just give me 10 points at least guy, I think, in week 1. Like, you got to lock in Deontay for at least 10 points. He's going to be in the Adam Thielen role that produced in PPR last season, despite one of the worst quarterback seasons of all time from Bryce Young last season. One of the worst offenses I've ever personally witnessed over the course of the whole season. Like, it's just so rare that you get a quarterback in a situation where no matter how bad they play, they're not going to get benched. And that was Bryce Young's situation last season. And still Adam Thielen was putting up solid PPR numbers. Guys, Adam Thielen had the 9th most receptions in the NFL last season. Ridiculous. I think Deontay Johnson could be top 10 receptions this season for a very similar reason, but still, it's got to be Rice. Like, it's got to be Rice tonight, the number 1 Patrick Mahomes receiver tonight. Him and Travis Kelce going to lead the team. Don't be surprised if Rice outproduces Kelce tonight. Rice was not going under 10 PPR points in basically any games last season. He had 6 consecutive games to end the regular season over 11 PPR points last year as a rookie. He's now in year 2, the year we see receivers typically take the biggest leap. He was one of the biggest steals in all of drafts this offseason. Maybe the biggest, honestly. I saw Rice go in the 7th round in some leagues. I was taking him in round 4 every single time that he was there. Every single time. So I have a lot of Rasheed Rice. He's one of my most drafted players. Him and Devon Achane, I think, are my 2 most drafted players. And yeah, you're not benching either of those guys in week 1. I like both Godwin, though, and Rice over Deontay this week. Godwin is playing the Commanders. Got to smash that. Got to smash the Commander matchup. Debo or Rashee Rice. Yeah, that's like right at the line, man. It's right there. I think it's Rice. I think it's Rice over Debo. Xavier Worthy or McLaurin. Yeah, I'm playing McLaurin over Worthy. Definitely close. It's definitely a close one. I'm playing McLaurin over Worthy, though. He gets the Bucks. They were not very good in the secondary last season. I have Pacheco. Should I start Rice over Evans PPR? Yeah, Rice, I'm starting over Evans in PPR. Evans does have a higher ceiling, especially against the Commanders. He gets the Commanders this week, which is a massive ceiling, even bigger ceiling than usual. But I still think Rice PPR floor is worth it versus Mike Evans. And then, yeah, Pacheco versus Rice. That's actually a really interesting one. If it's PPR, I still would probably go Rice. They're both top 15 at their position. Yeah, it's Rice over Pacheco just by a little bit. You got to start Neighbors, Waddle, and Worthy probably in that order. I think it's probably in that order. Waddle's like a little bit scary. We got Tyreek Hill's the number one receiver in week 1. Wow, Monroe over Lamb too is interesting. Probably all really close together, obviously. Not going to bench any of those guys. We got Waddle behind Neighbors. You got to start Neighbors against this Viking secondary, man. What a smash spot from Malik Neighbors in week 1. No benching Malik Neighbors. Should have put him in the do not bench video. Do not bench Malik Neighbors. Absolutely not. You're starting Neighbors over you're starting Neighbors over Rice tonight. You're starting Neighbors over Jalen Waddle. You're starting him over Marvin Harrison Jr. I like Neighbors more than Marvin Harrison Jr. in week 1. I've said all offseason, one of the biggest values in drafts has been Malik Neighbors, just comparing him to Marvin Harrison Jr. and where he was going in drafts. Why were they so far apart in drafts? Somebody explain this to me. Other than I get that Daniel Jones is scary and Kyler Murray's not scary, but you also got to consider the competition these two guys have. Malik Neighbors is locked and loaded as one of the most targeted players in the league. He is so by far the best weapon on his own team, on his own offense. The gap between Malik Neighbors and the next best player on that offense is maybe as wide as it gets in the NFL. It goes from him to Wandale, from him to Darius Slayton or Devin Singletary. Like, it's up there with CeeDee Lamb going from Lamb to Jake Ferguson. Hey, Sam, subscribed on TikTok. Excited for the new year. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. If you do the TikTok live subscription, by the way, I'll turn on the TikTok live subscriber only comments in the last 10 minutes of the stream. Promise to get to all those comments. Also, if you are a subscriber to the Walter Picks app, you got to join the Discord. Link to that is in the YouTube description. I'm in the Discord constantly, all day. You can talk directly with me, the whole team at Walter Picks, by joining the Discord if you have a Walter Picks subscription. All right, pick 2, PPR Olave and Devontae and Rashee Rice. Is Rashee trending better than them? Yeah, he is. I think I'd probably start Rashee Rice over both these guys. Devontae Smith versus Rice, it's Rice. Chris Olave versus Rice, it's Rice. You get Pat Mahomes, number 1 receiver in a game that could be pretty high scoring, you got to take him. Yeah, and I go Olave over Devontae Smith just slightly. Man, that was close too. I do want pieces of that game tomorrow night between the Packers and the Eagles. Could be the highest scoring game of week 1. Wouldn't be that crazy to see that happen. I really like the potential for Devontae Smith in this new Eagles offense with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator too. I think Devontae Smith's going to find himself in the slot more into more favorable spots. But Olave's floor is just locked and loaded. A higher floor for Olave for sure. And that's exactly what the Walter Picks app is saying. Slightly higher ceiling for Devontae Smith, but I think the floor is so much greater for Olave with not that big of a difference at ceiling. Panthers secondary was better than Packers secondary last season. This is a close one. Honestly, my gut says go with the Eagles offense in that game environment, but the floor is definitely better for Olave. Super close one. But I think either way, you're starting Rice over both these guys. All right, let's get back to some of these starts. It's Terry or Zay Flowers. Yeah, it's Terry over Zay. I think Zay and Worthy are the only two guys who should really be in a toss-up with this game tonight, though. All the no discussion needed guys are pretty obvious. No discussion needed for Mahomes. Obviously, haven't even really talked about him that much. We should probably talk about him a little bit on this opening night for the back-to-back Super Bowl champion on his path to the only player in the NFL with a realistic path to dethrone Brady, and I think a very realistic path to do it. We got Lamar. He's a no-brainer. Obviously, Kelsey, Andrews, no-brainers. Pacheco and Derrick Henry, no-brainers. Guys, I think that the Ravens somehow put together, and obviously not the case, today. I don't think Derrick Henry's the best rushing running back in the NFL today. I do think Lamar Jackson is probably the best rushing quarterback in the NFL today. But I do think the Ravens have managed to put together the best rushing quarterback of all time and the best running running back of all time. The best pure rusher of all time is Derrick Henry, guys. He's the only running back in NFL history to have multiple back-to-back seasons averaging over 100 rushing yards per game. Derrick, you look back at the historical numbers, and I actually just don't think it's even that debatable. Derrick Henry's the best pure runner of all time. And somehow he's also playing now alongside, at the end of his career, the best rushing quarterback of all time. We're just talking about the rushing. Pretty crazy stuff, especially, I'm not talking about the rushing touchdowns, just rushing yards per game. It's Lamar, man. Thursday night question, because Rice plays tonight. Do I trade Achane and Waddle for Malik, Rice, and Monty PPR? This is probably a yes, and I don't like trading away Achane, man. I got way too much Achane. Let's do the trade analyzer here in the Walter Picks app. By the way, you're going to want to do this yourself in the trade analyzer in the Walter Picks app too. If you haven't downloaded the Walter Picks app and you play fantasy or you're into props, like, you got to download the app, man. You got to download the app, because one of the most powerful things we added to the trade analyzer last season was the league sync functionality to not only see the trade value, which is important, but also to see how the trade impacts your starting lineup projection for the rest of the season. That's actually more important than the trade value. Like, trade value is just this sort of arbitrary thing about how much we think these players are going to be worth in future trades. But what actually matters is scoring the most points each week. How is this trade going to impact that for you? And I can't answer that on this live stream unless I know every single piece of your team. And even if I knew every single piece of your team, I'm not going to be able to do it as well as Walter can calculate it instantly in the app. So I do definitely encourage you to. Did I already add Waddle? We got Achane and Waddle, yep. And then we got Malik, Rice, and Worthy. Yeah, so you're getting the best receiver. I mean, you're getting a lot of receiver value here. And then Monty, I don't love this season. Definitely not as much as I like last season, but it's not like he's not. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair trade, but you're getting the better side of the trade. Waddle and Rice are comparable. I'm starting both Rice and Neighbors over Waddle in week 1. I think Waddle, like, whole season, I might just slightly prefer. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair trade, man. Especially if you're going to start all three of these guys, I would do this. But again, you're going to want to enter this yourself, because look, if you scroll down and you had your league synced, you could see exactly how this was going to impact the rest of your lineup for the whole season. And you can even, like, toggle just to the playoff view too, which is really nice. Hey, Sam, Rice or Cooper Kupp? Yeah, so there's no discussion needed for Rice tonight, unless you're thinking about him versus Cooper Kupp. Then it's got to be Cooper Kupp. Here's the only receivers that I would start over Rashee Rice tonight. The only receivers: Tyreek Hill, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Justin Jefferson, all the round one guys, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown. Obviously, we're starting all those guys over Rice. Definitely Cooper Kupp, I'm starting over Rice as well. Drake London, yep, I'm starting him over Rice also. And then the two stud rookies, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., yep, I'll start them over Rice too. Nobody else. Literally nobody else. I'm starting Rice over Evans. I'm starting Rice over Waddle. I'm starting Rice over Pittman, Olave, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Nico, McLaurin, Godwin, Adams, Diggs, DJ Moore. Those are all the guys, by the way, I'd start over Xavier Worthy. And then it's Xavier Worthy. I'm starting Xavier Worthy over Christian Kirk, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell. Man, the Tank one's tough. I really don't want to bench Tank in week 1. I have such a hard time benching Tank, but he's definitely, I think all the Texans receivers, they're going to be a bit of start-sit nightmares this season. They're going to be, I think, a bit more boom bust than you want now that there's 3 of them, not just 2. It's not just Nico and Tank anymore. It's also Steph Diggs, who has commanded a significant target share on every team that he's ever been on. And I don't expect that to change. I think all 3, when we look back, they're going to be good picks in fantasy, good guys you wanted on your fantasy team. But I also think it's going to be a little tougher to predict week to week who's going to have a huge game and who's going to be an absolute dud. And Tank's going to have a massive range of outcomes every single week because of that. And because of that, I don't think it's that crazy to go Xavier Worthy over Tank. I definitely would go Rashee Rice. Is Jamar playing? Do I start him? Yeah, it does seem like Jamar's going to play. And yes, you need to start him. It does seem like Jamar's going to play. He's practiced back-to-back days. Seems like he's going to get a full week of practice in. Seems like he's playing contract or not. All right, James Conner or Godwin, PPR flex. Not a Thursday night question. Not a Friday night question here. I think I'd probably go Godwin, though, against the Commanders. We're going to try to prioritize, though, the Thursday night and Friday night questions. Guys, I'm going to be live Sunday morning from basically the time I wake up until kickoff. Nothing beats Sunday mornings, man. Nothing beats it. Both on TikTok and YouTube all season long. Thursday night and Sunday mornings. Appreciate all of you guys in this live right now. We are so back, man. We got a great football game on our TV screens tonight between the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, and between Lamar Jackson. Honestly, the Ravens, like they really should have been in the Super Bowl last year. They came incredibly close, and they somehow were not able to run the ball enough in that game against the Chiefs last year. The Chiefs were way worse against the run than the pass last season. And they went into that game and barely ran the ball. Yo, Sam, how much do you value Kyler? I'm scared to give him up in this trade. Kyler and Pacheco for Burrow and Kyron. Yeah, don't do that trade. Just keep Kyler and Pacheco. I mean, it's a fair trade. Kyron, I would take over Pacheco, but Burrow's definitely a downgrade from Kyler, in my opinion. Last year, Lamar Jackson's MVP season. We got the back-to-back Super Bowl champion versus the MVP of the NFL last season, Lamar Jackson. 21.9 fantasy points per game. If you make me pick a side tonight, I'm going with the Chiefs. For sure, I'm going with the Chiefs. We got game insights in the Walter Picks app this season. If you guys haven't checked this out, you got to check it out. 56% chance to win this game tonight. We got a 25.9 to 23.9 projection for the game tonight. If you guys are watching live on TikTok, by the way, we're also live on YouTube, and I can share my screen. Better viewing experience. Link is in the TikTok bio. I just saw a really, really big layup in the TikTok live. We're starting Xavier Worthy over Ramondre Stevenson. Do you want the Deshaun Jackson-like rookie wide receiver as the number two receiver for Patrick Mahomes tonight? Or do you want Ramondre Stevenson on a bottom five offense in the NFL behind a bottom five offensive line? Like easy ones. Got to make your layups. You got to start Xavier Worthy over Ramondre Stevenson 1,000%. So last season, points per game, the Chiefs offense, guys, was a down year for the Chiefs despite winning the Super Bowl. They were only 14th in the NFL in points per game. They did run the 10th most plays per game. Their defense was elite, though. We're actually seeing the number one and number two defenses from last season in terms of points per game allowed tonight between the Baltimore Ravens and the Chiefs. I do like the under. If I'm going to take the over versus under, I do like the under. I never actually personally take those, though. Like, I'm very transparent about what I do and don't take on these lives, guys. I've always been fully transparent. I take the free props, always. Like, I've taken Isaiah Likely over 16.5 receiving yards tonight. I like Nelson Aguilar under 1.5 receptions. I generally am only actually going to stake stuff on the props. But when it comes to the games, I won't touch over-unders because they're so sharp. They're set so well. But I'll always tell you guys what I would go with if I had to choose. And yeah, I'm definitely taking the under if I had to choose. I'm definitely taking the Chiefs favored by 3 if I had to choose. And if I like them with the money line too. I actually think they should be favored a little bit more than they are. Worthy over Jay Jettas? No, we're not going Worthy over Jay Jettas. Absolutely not. We are playing Rice over Flowers in a half PPR league, though. Yep, we're definitely going to do that. For sure, we're going to do that. I'm playing Worthy over Ayuk. Yep, I'm fine with it. I think I'm fine with it. Let's actually check, though. That one seems pretty close to me. They get the Jets, though. The 49ers get the Jets, man. The Ravens are a little bit less scary than the Jets, that's for sure. Wouldn't be shocking to see the Jets have a top 3 defense this year. Yeah, we got Worthy over Ayuk for that reason, I think, exactly. Bit of a better floor for Ayuk. That makes sense to me. I mean, there's a pretty wide range of outcomes for Worthy. Rookie receiver, Deshaun Jackson-like role, already a boom-bust type of role. Worthy's going to either get one big touchdown catch or he's not. Like, that's ultimately what's going to come down to almost every single week for Worthy. I'm willing to bet most weeks that he's going to. And I think he's going to have a huge role right out of the gates in week 1. So, yeah, I'm going Worthy over Ayuk at the bazooka against the Jets. Tough spot for Ayuk and the 49ers offense for sure. I would go Calvin Ridley over Zay Flowers. Weird draft. But Lamar or Hurts. Yeah, that's a super weird draft for sure. It's Hurts, man. Yeah, it's got to be Hurts. It's Hurts over Lamar. By the way, guys, this is the easiest week of start sit decisions. It does not get easier than week 1. If you are in a true pickle and you are not sure, start the guy you drafted earlier. Unless the guy you drafted earlier isn't Rashee Rice and the other guy's Rashee Rice, like this one. Start Rashee Rice over DK Metcalf. Yeah, I definitely would do this. Again, there's a very short list of guys I'm starting over Rashee Rice tonight. Why start Worthy when it's his first game of the NFL? Because you play for the upside, man. The upside is what can win you your weeks and what can win you your season. It depends with the other options you have, obviously. But yeah, I think you're not gonna be very happy, even though it's his first game of his career, if you see a 25 bomb from Worthy on your bench. Yeah, there's 25 receivers that I'm pretty comfortable playing over Xavier Worthy. That's how we have it projected in the Walter Picks app. DJ Moore, Steph Diggs, Adams, Godwin, some guys with just a way higher floor than Worthy for sure. Terry McLaurin, Nico, I'd start Ridley over Xavier Worthy. Devontae Smith, Olave, Pittman, Waddle, Evans, Rice for sure. I think Debo and him are super close, but tough matchup for Debo. I'm okay going Worthy there. I'm okay going Worthy over Kirk and Zay and Tank. man, I just have such a tough time benching Tank because he's kind of a similar thing to Xavier Worthy, where the ceiling's just so massive. Honestly, I think I would play Tank over Worthy if I had to choose. He gets the Colts. I think I like the situation for Tank a little bit more. Neighbors or Rice? Yeah, it's Neighbors. It's Neighbors over Rice. He's, I think, one of the few guys I'm starting over Rice. I'm not benching Neighbors against the Vikings. Absolutely not. I am playing Worthy over Ridley. Thank you. PPR pick one. Devontae Smith or James Cook? Cook hits the Cardinals this week. Definitely a good spot. I think the Cardinals are going to be a very fun team for fantasy this season because I think their offense is going to be massively improved, one of the best offenses in the NFL. And I think their defense is going to be abysmal again and be one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So they're going to have some massively high-scoring games. This one's James Cook over Devontae Smith. Pretty high floor. Generally, running backs have a higher floor than the receivers, especially the pass-catching running backs, which is exactly what Walter's showing, that he even has a higher ceiling. Higher floor and ceiling. Got to be James Cook, man. Don't bench James Cook. Do not bench James Cook in week 1. If you're watching live on YouTube, guys, make sure you smash the like button. I promise you it helps me out so much more than you even realize. It takes you 2 seconds. Really do appreciate that. If you're watching live on TikTok, guys, hit the follow button and also come over to the YouTube live because it's a better viewing experience. Like I'm showing a comparison on screen on the YouTube live right now between James Cook and Devontae Smith. I can pull up comments on the YouTube live. I can't do that on TikTok. I think I probably would go Flowers over T. Higgins, Rashee Rice or Cooper Kupp. It's Kupp. Yeah, so there's a very short list of guys I'm starting over Rashee Rice. Let me rattle them off. Just straight from the Walter Picks app. Again, guys, if you don't download the Walter Picks app, you're at a disadvantage. Link to that is in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description. It's a free app with premium subscriptions to unlock some of the features in the app that are well worth it. Well worth it. Use code SAM when you sign up. I think we should be pricing like 2 times higher than we are. Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lamb, all the round 1 receivers. If you drafted the guy in round 1, no discussion needed. All right, same thing with the round 2 guys for the most part. Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Cooper Kupp, all these guys I'm starting over Rice. That's pretty much it, though. That's it. Ja'Marr Chase, I am going to start over Rice. I have faith that Ja'Marr Chase is going to play, and you're going to want to have started him. But yeah, I'm starting Rice over Mike Evans. I'm starting him over Jalen Waddle. I'm starting over basically all the round 3, round 4, round 5 receivers that went ahead of Rice in drafts inexplicably. I'm starting Rice over those guys. Yeah, I'm starting him over Olave. Yep. I'm starting him over Devontae Smith, over Nico Collins, over Devontae Adams, over DJ Moore. I'm starting Rice over all those guys because he's the number 1 receiver for a Pat Mahomes-led offense. Rice is a locked-in, extremely elite floor. Rice had at least 11 PPR points. Let me pull up the game logs again really quick with Rashee Rice here on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. A really elite 2.5 yards per route run for Rice last season as a rookie. Super impressive stuff. And then you look at the back half of the season, and Rice was a top 12 receiver in PPR points per game. But in the back half of the season, he didn't go under 11.5 PPR points once. Like he's locked into over 11 PPR points tonight. And he also has a really elite ceiling attached to Patrick Mahomes. He just had the most receptions for a rookie ever in the NFL playoffs. I have T. Higgins, but I'm worried about the injury. I have Jaden Reed. Should I play it safe and start him? Yeah, I'm fine with playing it safe, man, with these Thursday night, Friday night decisions this week. I'm fine with that. T. Higgins also not like really the best matchup for him against the Pats. Pats are going to try to play slow. They're going to run the ball, and they're definitely a defensive first team. And the Bengals are going to be up by a lot and probably running the ball a little bit more than usual, too, in this game. Not really the best game environment here for the Bengals. You definitely want to start Ja'Marr Chase, but it's more of a Zach Moss, Chase Brown game, really, than a T. Higgins game, I think. DK or Rice? Yeah, it's Rice over DK. It's Kupp over Rice. I'm playing Rice over Debo, though. Do you like Bowers this season? Yeah, I think Bowers, heading into this season, one of the most underrated players in fantasy. I was a little bit spooked off of Brock Bowers, really heading into the end of draft season with his minor foot issue. I think I was over spooked about that. I think I was overthinking that. It's a little hard sometimes to gauge some of these minor injuries where guys aren't practicing at the end of the season as they get fully healthy for week 1. But if that turns out to not be a big thing, Brock Bowers is going to smash expectations this year. Brock Bowers is in the Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. tier, but nobody was treating him that way. And part of that was because he's on the Raiders, which is definitely a scary environment, not the best situation for him, but I believe the talent's going to win out there, and Brock Bowers is going to be a pretty good player for fantasy and for real NFL too. How do you feel about Rico Dowdle? I think he's going to be a beast. Yeah, he definitely got a ceiling. I don't know about the floor really for Dowdle. It seems like they're going to rotate a lot of different running backs in that backfield, but he's definitely the the most exciting option they have right now, in my opinion. I think is like honestly more likely to me that Dalvin Cook has some juice left over Zeke, but I think Rico Dowdle is definitely the most exciting option. Worthy or Pickens? Yeah, it's got to be Worthy over Pickens. 4-year subscriber and won both my leagues last year. Thanks, Ryan, man. This is what it's all about. Thanks for sending this comment. We're going to be wrong about so many things this whole season. But as long as we're right more often than we're wrong, and as long as we're right more often than our league mates is right, and as long as we have the ability to be humble and be aware that we're not going to be right all the time, that we got to take in new information and react to that new information, and that we're not just going to win our leagues in the draft. We're also going to win our leagues after week 1 when we add the Puka Nacuas and the Kyron Williams of the world, which are probably not going to be either of those guys this season, but there's going to be guys like them throughout the season for sure. And this is what it's all for, man. All that matters is winning the fantasy football championship. We're trying to go back to back in both these leagues this year, Ryan. Man, that gets me hyped up. Love that stuff. All right, what up, though? Zamir White or Chase Brown, brothers. Sergio, not a Thursday night or Friday night question. I'm going to be live Sunday morning, basically from the time I wake up, right up until kickoff. We're going to get to these comments on Sunday morning, but I'm going to tell a lot of people probably to bench Zamir White, and we'll see how that plays out. But it's definitely good environment here for Chase Brown. Zamir White's probably a bit safer than Chase Brown in week 1. PPR, though, the whole problem for Zamir White is the pass catching upside. Yeah, it's Chase Brown. It's Chase Brown over Zamir White. He does have a pretty good projectable game script here against the Pats. Rashee Rice or James Conner? Yeah, it's Rice. Half PPR, I still think it's Rice. I think. Let's see, though. Yeah, it's Rice. It's Rice. I don't even need to do this, I don't think. PPR is not close. Half PPR is probably a little bit closer. Thanks for sending the scoring settings, by the way. Scoring settings matter a lot with these starts. I just said, wow, look at this. Half PPR, it is Conner. And half PPR, I do generally like to lean running backs too. In non-PPR, like I'm always going to go running back in that flex slot. I do think this game is going to be extremely high scoring. Yeah, it's Conner over Rice and half PPR. In PPR, I don't think it's actually that close, though. It's got to be Rice. Best cups to grab on waivers before tonight's game. Yeah, so there's a bunch of them. I drafted a lot of them. I mean, the highest upside handcuff in all of fantasy football heading into the season is not even that close. It's Blake Corum. He's not on the waivers, though. Trey Benson's up there, too. He's probably not on the waivers. Braylon Allen, he's available in a ton of leagues. A ton. And I think he could be the goal line back for the Jets out of the gates. I feel like this has gotten nobody else is really talking about this. I haven't seen any beat reporters saying this could be the case. I'm really purely speculating here. But he's the clear number 2 running back for the Jets. He's 1.5 times the size of Breece Hall, who they want to keep fresh the whole season. It wouldn't be shocking to see Braylon Allen just be the goal line back. Braylon Allen was also a really good receiving back the whole preseason. So if Breece Hall goes down, Braylon Allen's going to win leagues. I think he's one of the highest upside handcuffs in all of fantasy. He's available in most leagues right now on the waiver wire. Don't hate this one at all. We also know Aaron Rodgers has a long history of targeting his running backs. So yeah, I like Braylon Allen. He could have that goal line role. Jalen Wright's up there for sure. He could be this year's Devon Achane if either Devon Achane or Raheem Mostert get injured. Also, we got Jordan Mason. McCaffrey is starting the season already on the injury report with a calf thing. Doesn't seem super serious, but if McCaffrey goes down, I think it's Jordan Mason up next for the 49ers. Ayuk in a tough matchup or Jaden Reed? Yeah, I'd probably go Reed in that environment. Let's see here. It's definitely close. We got Ayuk maybe a tiny bit ahead in the app. Yeah, we do. This is a tough one. Oh, this is half PPR. Let's switch this back to PPR, see if that changes things. Yeah, still Ayuk in the bazooka. Oh man, though, look at this matchup difference. Honestly, I would not knock you at all for going Reed over Ayuk. Wouldn't knock you at all. Worthy or Godwin? Yeah, I think I'd go Godwin over Worthy. I'd play Worthy over Pitts in the flex. I'm playing Rice over DJ Moore for sure. I'm playing Rice over Zay Flowers as well. This is a really tough one. Jaden Reed's a really tough start to it in week 1, man. Because against the Eagles, you're going to want Jaden Reed against the Eagles. This game tomorrow night could be extremely high scoring. A really high ceiling here. A higher ceiling than Ayuk has. Ayuk's maybe a tiny bit safer than Reed. Honestly, I think I'd go Reed. I think I personally would go Reed and play for the higher ceiling. again, part of the reason I really love using the Walter Picks app for these start-sit decisions is like I don't always only go off just the raw base projection. I don't just care about projected points. I also care about the ceiling and floor. And I tend to lean towards caring about ceiling more than floor. Like that's just kind of my personality. I know that's not how everyone thinks, but that's how I think personally. Yeah, that's the Eagles defense. Jerome Ford, Hubbard, or Mostert this week? Not a Thursday night or Friday night question here. It's probably, man, actually, this is a really close one, I feel like. I think it might be, we might have Hubbard here. It's Ford, actually. Ford was also one of the best sleepers in fantasy this season. Who knows when Nick Chubb's going to be back? It wouldn't shock me at all if Nick Chubb didn't play, like for the vast majority of this fantasy season. Start London or Waddle? Yeah, I think I'd lean London over Waddle. I'm starting Rice over Kenneth. I really like both those guys, but I'm not benching Rice. If that's a PPR league, if it's a half PPR league, I typically lean towards the running backs. Again, scoring settings matter a ton. This is why the Walter Picks app is OP, because it knows your scoring settings. It knows everything about your league. Worthy or Aaron Jones? I also have Mahomes. Thanks for doing the subscription, by the way. I think I'd go Worthy there. I think I'd go Worthy. All right, we got a few minutes left here. I'm going to turn on subscriber-only comment mode here on the TikTok Live. Sorry, YouTube. Don't mean to be smudging my fingers here. All right, we got sub-only chat on the TikTok Live now. If you do the TikTok Live subscription, I got you. Worthy or Keenan Allen? Yeah, it's Worthy over Keenan. It's Worthy over Keenan for me. Let me give my quick analysis on the game again. Let me run through the free player props again really quick, then I'll get to some of these final start sits. I generally think you got to trust Xavier Worthy tonight. Have some fun with fantasy football. Start Xavier Worthy if you want to try to have some fun tonight. We got the Deshaun Jackson-like rookie playing with Patrick Mahomes without Marquise Brown in the lineup. Sign me up for that, man. Sign me up for that every single time. Even if he misses, I think that's good process to be in on Xavier Worthy tonight in all season. And honestly, if he has a mild start to the season, I'm going to be buying him in fantasy leagues. I think the must bench guys tonight are pretty obvious. Like you definitely, first of all, Marquise Brown's out. I think everyone's aware of that heading into week one. None of these guys, I didn't see a single start sit question about any of these guys. Honestly, Zay Flowers and Xavier Worthy are the toughest ones tonight. And I think they're both good, decent starts. Hey, Sam, PPR 1 for flex. Devontae or Rachaad White? Looked in the app, but curious. Yeah, that's a really close one. I do like Rachaad White in that game against the Commanders. I do like Devontae Smith against the Packers also. Oh, it's super close. I kind of think you got to go Rachaad White. Yeah, you got to go Rachaad White. It's just he's a little bit safer, and he offers, I think, a comparable ceiling. I think I would lean Rachaad White. I do really like Devontae Smith, though, and I do really like the game environment tomorrow night. But yeah, I also like the game environment against the Commanders for the Buccaneers offense this week. If I'm picking a side tonight, I'm going with the Chiefs. And I don't think that's probably that surprising to many of you who have been following me for a long time. Took the Chiefs in the Super Bowl as well. I took the Chiefs against the Ravens when they played. That was a really, really close one. I actually think I might have had the Ravens in that one. I was going back and forth in that one. The thing about the Chiefs last season is they were much worse against the run than they were against the pass. But they were one of the best defenses Mahomes has ever had. Maybe the best defense Mahomes has ever had, and they've returned most of those same defenders. They have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, and the Ravens' offensive line got much worse. The Ravens' offensive line got much worse this offseason. They added who I would argue is the best pure rusher of all time. Not in the prime of his career right now, obviously. Not the best pure rusher in the league right now, but I think of all time, he is. My two favorite props tonight. Thank you, man. I got you. My two favorite props tonight, Isaiah Likely over 16.5 receiving yards. He hit this in 8 of his last 10 games. Some of those were without Mark Andrews, but I think Likely is the number 3 receiving weapon for the Ravens in this game. He could hit this in a single play. Love these low lines like this that are live from start to finish. And he could be beat in the first play or last play. And then the other prop I like tonight is Nelson Aguilar under 1.5 receptions. Lock that one in as well. If you're looking for more prop analysis, go to the Walter Picks app, go to the Picks tab, look at the prop evaluator. If you're looking for more start-sit help, even better than I could possibly help you, the Walter Picks app is going to help you. Link to that is in the YouTube description and in the TikTok bio. It's a free app. You can do start-sit comparisons for free. You're going to want the premium subscription if you're really serious about trying to win your league. Those are going to be well worth it. If you're just kind of serious, though, keep the free version, and it's going to help you a ton. Guys, that's my time for the opening night live stream. Man, time went fast. I cannot wait for real football on our TV screens in an hour, guys. I'll be back live Sunday morning for at least 3 hours from when the time I wake up to the time we kick off. Man, I cannot wait. Good luck in week one, everyone. Remember, the best possible tiebreaker in week one for the start sits is to start the guy you drafted earlier. Unless the guy you're considering over him is Rashee Rice, then you probably should start Rashee Rice. That's my time, guys. I'll be back live Sunday morning. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you all in a couple of days.